Dave Ramsey is a huge advocate for getting out of debt, for which he is to be commended. But even if you're a fan of paying off your house early, which I'm not, especially if you're locked into a low interest rate, there are much better and quicker ways of doing so. First, let's listen to what Dave Ramsey says to a caller who wants to pay his house off as quickly as possible. Then afterwards, I'll show you a proven mathematical way to pay off your house in much less time. Okay, so let me start by breaking down the caller's financial profile. He owes $132,000 on his house and has a 30-year mortgage at 3.685%. He's retired and makes about $60,000 per year. He has $14,000 in mutual funds and another $20,000 in a savings account. Okay, let's take a listen to what Dave recommends.
Yeah, I'm with your plan. I would throw the 14 at it, which gets us, down in the 118 or something like that we got left then. And you can put that on a 15-year. Normally, the only reason to refinance is not to go from a 30 to a 15. I wouldn't go to the refinance cost to do that. But in order to save on interest, you would refinance. And I think you could probably save 3/4 of a point. I mean, I'm seeing quotes. I don't know if you can get on a mortgage this small or not, but I'm seeing quotes well down under 3. And so if you got something like 2.875 or 275 or something like that along those lines, that might be worth refinancing. And then while you're at it, put it on a 15-year. And then, of course, you just chunk money at it as fast and as hard as you can, like you're saying. And then how do we make that go away? Well, you make it go away pretty quick that way. You'll probably be done in 5 or 6 years.
Now we're talking the same language. Yeah. Okay.
And you just kind of start dividing it. You just say we're dealing with, 120,000? And, if we wanted to do that in 10 years, that'd be 10,000 extra a year. And if we wanted to do it in 5 years, that means it'd be 20,000 extra a year.
That's right, yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, you're probably going to be done.
Okay, let's summarize Dave Ramsey's recommendation from this video. In this particular scenario, the best way for the caller to pay off his house is to refinance from a 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage. That could get the caller from a 3.685%, possibly down to a 2.685%. Keep in mind, these were the prevailing interest rates at the time of this video. Then take the extra $14,000 in mutual funds and apply that directly to the balance of the mortgage. Then take an extra $10,000 to $20,000 from cash flow per year and pay that directly to the balance of the mortgage. There's no surprises here. This is very much in line with Ramsey's get out of debt as quickly as you possibly can worldview. But there are a couple pitfalls in this approach that I'd like to address. Let me begin by saying I'm not a big fan of paying off a mortgage. It's only costing you 3.685%. And when you take into account that 3.685% is tax deductible, it's really probably costing the caller around 3%. He can do much better than 3% by investing any surplus cash or prepayments into the stock market. Particularly if you believe, as Ramsey does, that you can get 12% linear returns year over year. But let's put all this aside and assume that you do want to pay your house off as quickly as possible. Is what Ramsey's recommending really the best way of going about doing so? I don't think so. First of all, it's just not a very safe way of going about paying off your house. This approach calls for taking any liquid savings above and beyond the emergency fund along with any free cash flow and applying it to the most illiquid of all vehicles, a mortgage note. If the caller takes money that could have otherwise gone to a liquid brokerage account growing at, say, 8% on average per year, then that money would not be available if a big emergency arose somewhere down the road. It would be locked away in his home equity. And if he needed to tap into that home equity, he probably won't be able to do so because he's retired and doesn't have a huge source of income. It's trapped equity, and if he can't make the payments, he loses the house and potentially some or all of the equity locked away inside it. Why not take all those prepayments in the liquid $14,000 mutual funds and keep it in an investment account where he could, in a very short period of time, be in a position where he has the option of paying off his mortgage. Build that balance so high that he could pay that mortgage off at any moment. At that point, he will have effectively paid off his home, even though he'd still have a mortgage. He'd be in a position to pay that mortgage off, but wouldn't be required to do so. At that point, he can ask himself the question, what would I rather have? The interest and liquidity on my ever-increasing investment account or a completely paid off mortgage? And guess what? If the interest from the investment account is greater than what his mortgage is costing him, I think he'll realize which path will increase his net worth the fastest. And finally, let's talk about 15-year mortgages. Banks actually prefer you to take a 15-year mortgage. That's why they entice you with that lower interest rate. They want the biggest chunk of your monthly cash flow they can possibly get. Why? Because they can loan it right back out into the marketplace in the form of a credit card, student loan, car loan, or another mortgage. I know it seems paradoxical, but they actually make the most money off of 15-year mortgages. What if you adopted the bank's mentality? What if you gave as little to the bank as possible, think 30-year mortgage, and then turned around and took what you saved over doing a 15-year mortgage and invested it in a way that gave you liquidity, use, and control of your money? Then somewhere down the road, when you had enough money in your investments, you could be in a position to pay that 30-year mortgage off if you felt absolutely impressed to do so. But again, you wouldn't be required to. I just have the sneaking suspicion that when you see how much your investments are growing and compounding over time, and how much bigger your net worth will be by not paying off your home, then it will be a pretty easy decision to make. Folks, my upcoming book, The Guru Gap, How America's Financial Gurus Are Leading You Astray and How to Get Back on Track, is now available for pre-order on Amazon. Take the opportunity to order your copy today. By the way, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 1 million Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you would like some help implementing a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement that shields you from the impact of higher taxes down the road, head on over to davidmcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to an advisor in the Power Zero network that has been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head on over to powerzero.com and opt into my free video series. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll do my very best to respond personally to every single one of them. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.